Not a whole lot. How are you?
Doing all right.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, yeah.
Any, any update from the doctor?
No, my mom is going in for something in June, so she won't know definitively until then. She had some blood taken though, so
Gotcha.
she'll get she'll get some blood work back, I guess, at some point, but
In a couple weeks. All right.
won't be definitive, yeah.
How about with
She
you?
went to go see the new live action Lilo and Stitch movie today with my sister, but
Uh-huh.
I have I haven't been able to get a hold of her, so I can't I don't know how that went.
Do you mean how the movie went or how your sister took it?
Well, sometimes my sister will throw a fit and then they won't go.
Oh, I got
So
you. Sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm sure the new Lilo and Stitch is fun.
yeah, I'm sure that they did end up going and that they had fun. Let's see. Um,
I like your new profile picture. Is that you?
yeah, this is a drawing from a long time ago that I did. I was like, "Ooh, something with color and something that's more evocative of me, I think.
You don't think the black and white girl turning away was evocative of you as a person?
Not really, no.
No, no, exactly. I mean, it's a good drawing for sure. How about you health wise? Have you gotten any results back, Bill?
Not for myself, no.
I got
Still wearing this heart monitor. I take it off. I take it off on Wednesday.
you. Okay, cool.
So that's pretty much what I'm waiting for. Turn my screen a little bit here. All
Nice.
right, I clicked on this. Here we go.
You-
Oh, let's hop right in. Sorry,
Yeah, sounds like it. No,
eating some free, snacking on free peanuts.
right on. Nothing beats free peanuts. It's like the that move in the 70s,
Um,
free the titty, but this is free peanuts.
it's like, dude, I was excited when I went to the liquor store and they were like, for a penny, you can get some of these here peanuts.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So then practically free is what it is.
Exactly,
Cause,
practically free. I mean,
oh,
I
because
paid a penny.
they're selling it for a penny, but is it like a big like scoop or in a bag or how do they?
It's like they're like
Oh
home
wow,
brand. I don't know if you
for a
remember
penny?
beanies, but
Yeah, bennies. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. So it's like I'm sure it's how they get rid of stock that you know starting to accumulate.
That makes
But
sense. There's only so long
yeah,
before they get the expiration date they got to deal with. Well, your tunes are
I
coming in
actually would rather
loud,
have one of these.
loud, loud and clear today. That's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Should,
give us
should I
the
turn it
back.
down?
No, I mean it's fine for me. It's a nice atmosphere for sure.
Okay.
What's up,
All right.
Cosmo?
We'll see if that.
Hey,
Cosmo, what's up?
hi there.
How are you?
Um,
How's your mom?
she's in the hospital. We're waiting to hear back of what happened today.
Dang, did they do
So
surgery on? They did surgery on her?
yeah, probably.
Gotcha. Dang,
We
dude.
we don't really know. We don't really know. Like they were gonna look at uh her hips today and possibly do surgery. She did have some brain bleed last night, so they wanted to look at that, like keep an eye on that first. And so we're
Oh my
just
God.
sort of waiting to hear everything that happened.
Dang.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, Cosmo. That
yeah,
sucks.
that
Yeah.
sucks. So did she hit her head and her hips? Like it was part of all the same thing? Like she fell
Like
down some
she
stairs?
fell and then like she I think it's like a it wasn't her hip, like it was like the ball of the hip or something. And
Gotcha.
then she hit her head when she fell. So
Uh, gotcha. The the ball. That's a bad break because she'll be laid up for a while. Because you really can't be moving. Uh,
yeah. So I don't so the hospital's supposed to call us at some point. So if I take a quick break at some point, you'll know why. But I'll let you know. But otherwise, I'm here.
okay. Cool. Cool. Crystal's back. She's doing okay.
Yeah, she's fine.
Or usual, I guess.
Yeah,
No. Well,
yeah.
that's good enough for sure. I just found out my grandma just fell and broke her hip also, which is weird.
Ooh,
Yeah, but she's a lot older than your
is she
mom.
okay?
They did
Yeah.
surgery. I don't know why they did surgery on her 'cause she's like 90. But they think her kidneys are not going to stand up to it. She's probably not going to live for too much longer. So my grandpa just died in August of last year, so it's been rough on her anyway. So she's probably not in the best condition anyway. I mean, they were in their 90s. My grandpa was 94, I think she's 92. Uh,
Yeah.
these things happen.
Yeah, it's not a good season for hit.
Yeah, it's apparently
Season of hips.
yeah. Like when they say that they're checking out our cats, it's generally such a fun conversation, but it sounds like this is not.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start this episode on a downer. We can only go upwards from here. But things are going on. It's good to check in. I'm not upset. But so it's good to check in. But, so Jack, we got a musician last night.
Nice.
Yeah, he knocked it out
For
of
the for your live show, or
no for this show.
for
Uh,
this show?
yeah.
Wow.
We have so the panel you're doing right now is the Cox and Space theme, which he did a rough of.
Uh-huh.
It's up in, I think it's either in general chat or in the writing group, but he posted it last night. It's just a sketch of what he's planning to do with it. But it sounds like the song first off, which is awesome. And then he's added some fantastic texture to it, so like it builds this like really powerful like arc. So. And then he started working on the song we'll see later in this scene when they land and they see Luna sing. So yeah, it definitely makes the progress there. He also offered to come on to do the scoring of the episodes as well as the sound effects. So he's like a full package deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
And a good kid, right? Kaz? Like fun to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to hang out with.
Yeah, like
Uh,
you're like, hey, this is what I want to do, and you sang at him. He's like, oh, you want to do this?
yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, not to mention also we were like, hey, you interested in doing this project? And he's like, yeah, can we meet tomorrow? So that
Yeah.
that was a nice, and we have unfortunately had to bump it back even further than tomorrow, but that was on our part, not on his part. And then he jumped right into it. We hung
Yeah.
out for a couple hours, and then we got a finished draft at like half hour after we are done. So he really like went through with it too. So yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah, super excited to work with him because he is definitely so the show concept too is the thing that he's on board for. Like that, you know, Cox in space is a concept just tickles him. So yeah,
Mhm. Told
because
you people like a dick joke.
yeah, everybody loves a
Mm.
dick joke, you know. And that we can make
Everybody
dick
loves
jokes.
that.
Yeah, even the hardest lesbian, the firmest of lesbians. That was a good dick
Even
joke.
the hearts, the
Yeah,
most gold star of lesbians.
yeah, gold star. Uh,
Um, yeah,
so yeah, we're making progress, which is good. Aaron pointed out that to him that once we get Luna's song, we can start casting for Luna, which is pretty exciting. And then as soon as we get this page colored, which no rush because I know it's going to be a couple weeks. Uh, but as soon as we get that colored, we'll be able to do the Cox and Space theme here in this panel too. So. I was able to get a rough animation done too. It's really just to like set up kind of how your shots move. So I did post that. I don't know if you saw it, but it kind of just
I
gives us.
actually posted that onto my website because it's really cool.
It's
Um,
fun, right? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely rough. We still need an animator, a team of animators. But yeah, that it definitely it's starting to come to life, which is super exciting. Like it's a little
good to
rough.
know.
It needs like he was talking about how the musician was talking about how he's excited to score it because he wants to take the songs that we've already written and then kind of explore those themes. And Aaron, you missed it last night because you had to go, but the Cox and Space theme, he was like, "Oh yeah, that melody is good. I can that's going to develop the whole soundtrack to all the themes." Oh, and then I don't know if you listened to it, Aaron, but he gave us like a spacey opening to it, which we can put in the beginning of that episode. Like as you see the pecker flying through space, we can hear we will be able to hear, and I'll cut it this week, but we'll be able to hear the Cox and Space theme kind of like come in like kind of slow, like while we hear the
okay,
rocket. And then the music's gonna be playing the Cox and Space theme up to the point where they start singing it. Uh, so yeah,
that's awesome.
super fun. It'll be super fun. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do with it. Uh, and then of course Luna's song we're gonna hear, when she's doing Luna's things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hey, do you know Sophie Canali or Sophia Canali, Kazu?
Uh, I don't know.
It's Susan Messing's daughter.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I've seen like her posts about it.
yeah, so
About
she I don't know if she's in a band or if she is the band, but she's Wormcatcher. Um, she's on YouTube. She's actually just put out an album or a couple tracks like a couple weeks ago. But she just graduated from NYU this year, so she's like 20 something, 22 or 23.
okay.
Anyway, take a listen to her vocals, because for some reason I can't remember if I saw a post and then I went to go find her, or if I woke up this morning and the first thing I thought of was her. Anyway, I know that you have your heart set on the Star Trek girl, for
I
Luna,
mean, I
and
I could get anybody. Like
no, yeah, and
I'm
I'm not saying that we shouldn't try for that, but also I think that she might have the voice for Luna that we're looking for. So anyway, I would just take a listen, see if you like her music, and we can.
yeah, I just pulled her up on YouTube, so
Nice, yeah, and she had some stuff that's like weird, like indie girl, but which is fine. That's like really close to my heart. But I don't feel like it necessarily shows her talent. But I was listening to some other stuff this morning where I was like, oh dang, like because early, some of her early stuff, I was like, yeah, that's fine. Indie girl music doesn't have to necessarily be like melodic or like,
Mhm.
necessarily even have a rhythm because it's like the charm of that. But then there's some other tracks where I'm like, sure, she's showing off her vocal range. And I was like she's actually like hitting like solid notes with like a full throat singing. You know what I mean? Or like full, from the diaphragm and like it's like coming out of her. and I was just it was impressive is all, and I was like, okay, cool. Again, that's just my opinion. So but take a listen when you get a chance. Uh, and then
Okay.
I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on her too. Um, I mean, obviously she's capable of doing it. I don't know if you remember her when she was a kid. Were you around? Do you remember?
I don't remember her.
Okay. Yeah, no, so she used to improvise with the improvisers when she was 6, when they would do like, 24-hour improv or whatever. Uh
Okay.
yeah, so her
I never
comedy.
went to the 24-hour improv thing, so
Gotcha. Or she would show up sometimes, like it wasn't during messing with a friend because I don't think her mom did that with her, but there would be like jams, like as a kid she would show up to. And she had chops then, like, as like again, like an 8 or 10-year-old. Uh so yeah, I know that she's got comedic chops and like character voice
yeah.
and stuff
I
like that
mean,
too.
if he's has the blood of Susan Messing, then yeah, I get
Well,
that.
also, so
The
not
blood of
only,
Susan Messing.
yeah, not only Susan Messing, but her dad's Joe Canale, um, who I don't know if
Oh,
you know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
I know that
Oh,
name.
yeah, Joe Canale, who has been like I don't know if he still is, but was a cornerstone of the improv community, uh, for just being a recognized talent. Yeah, so those are her parents. So like
Oh,
no
okay.
nepotism, but
Good
like
lineage
yeah, well,
of
and then
improvising.
yeah, and then also she's been around it her entire life, Uh, so I'm sure that she's picked up a few things that some of us who were just, decade-long tourists or whatever, didn't necessarily pick up.
Yeah.
Decade long tourists
Yeah,
of improv.
I thought I saw you smirking about that one. Yeah, decade-long tourist. That's what I feel like I've done. Like I've been to a number of places, but like, and I've lived there for a number of years, but I feel like I was always just like a temporary resident in that place for a while I visited it. Chicago is one of them, as much as I love Chicago.
Yeah, I had a friend that was down here this weekend. I thought he was gonna hit me up, but he never did.
Was that friend me? Are you trying to call me out, dog? Like, no, I'm just like, who,
No, no,
I
no.
probably,
It was a different friend.
like,
He's down for the Combo Breaker fighting tournament event that's happening in Schaumburg. So
oh, fun.
he's not in the city proper.
Gotcha.
He's in the suburbs, but I told him to give me a call and see if he could make it out here. I guess he couldn't make it out, which I understand. All the way in the suburbs.
It is a little ways out there. I was out there in February, I believe. Uh, and yeah, when we got out, we like got to hit the city for like one day, but when we got out to Schauberg, it was just like so far out there. It's like 45-minute drive or something, half an hour maybe.
Yeah,
Then obviously depending on where you want to go. I'm not trying to get you to dox yourself, but like wherever you are in the city, right? Like it's just and then the additional
yeah.
drive of wherever you are. The city's big, man.
City
You
is big.
you know.
I get I get like, like forgetful of that because I'm in the same spot essentially every day.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
same thing with me. I mean, we would go to the same locations we would go to, would hang out in the same neighborhood. You kind of just forget that you're not in a small town. There's a lot of
yeah.
city that happens. Yeah.
I'm gonna take this down.
Yeah, I went out for a bike convention, which I hope never to have to do again, to be honest.
Bike convention?
Yeah. I love bikes. Like I love riding bikes and I love being around people who like to ride bikes. But, when you get into the whole like corporate marketing angle of bikes, it's like it just sucks the joy out of everything, even
Yeah,
bikes, so uh
feel that.
yeah, exactly.
Did
Like
anybody cosplay as a bike?
see, if it was fun like that, it might have been okay. But like literally, I was so stressed out from being in a sell environment for 8 hours no, 10 hours, something like that, that I couldn't eat or sleep. Uh,
Whoa.
yeah, it was just
Cell?
cell.
What?
Yeah,
I don't.
well, so, right. So,
Oh, right. I'm sorry. SELL. That makes sense. Sales. Uh,
oh, right. Versus,
I thought they
yeah,
were like putting you into little
microscopic.
cells.
Yeah, or
Uh,
where would
I-
people like caged? It's essentially
yeah.
that they're trying to figure out whether you're a buyer or you're a seller. And so they do put you in those little boxes for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Like they're just like, we're here to market, and like, man, that energy is just it's not good for you. And it shows. You see the people who've been doing it for a long time. I'm like, man, you don't see them, you don't see 'em.
They're not well.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's weird because the thing I love about, working in a bike shop is that we see people who love being fit and taking care of themselves, like who enjoy being outside and sweating, like the workout is a big thing to them, or, just getting from place to place and doing it, with the breeze in your hair. But like once you get into
Right.
this other level, like these guys, they don't like bikes. They don't like cyclists. They like, money or whatever their thing is. Co the cocaine that they can get from the money, it's just like,
Right.
you know,
They want to
or
make the cocaine pile bigger.
yeah, or there's a lot of people too, salesmen, they're chronic alcoholics too. Not all of them, but it is a trend. And so you just see that too. They're just like worn out and pickled, and their skin is bad. Uh, it's like all they do is go to conventions and drink. And it's just, it's sad.
Are there
It's
any
just sad.
are 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 there any spokesmen?
Dang, bro. There was a wheel rebuilding class. So, yeah, yes. There's a bike shop up the street from one of the bike shops that I work at, because there's three locations, and I have worked at all three of them, but it's called The Spokesman. That's the name of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So it's a funny pun for sure.
That's pretty clever, yeah.
Yeah. Bike people do like their puns, like pet people or Thai food restaurants. They definitely, they definitely think they're puns.
Yeah.
It's an odd grouping otherwise, right? Dogs,
I
bikes,
mean,
and Thai food. Jenna Friedman has one of my favorite jokes about that. Aaron, you remember Jenna, right? Did you ever meet her?
Yeah, I remember Jenna.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's still doing great for herself. But no, she's like, how Thai foods always have those like funny cutesy names, and she's like, I went to this place recently, and she was in Chicago at the time, so she named the location, like the corner that it was on, and she's like, it's called Thai not to get food poisoning.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see she had a crime show, like a true crime show on like Paramount or something? Like
Really?
a
I
year
haven't
ago.
noticed anything from her. Uh,
Yeah,
I've seen that Lauren Lapkus has been in a bunch of stuff.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. I mean, she got picked up by Universal, so she was in a couple of Jurassic Parks. Uh,
yeah. Plus,
uh
she was in like the later seasons of Big Bang Theory.
oh, that's fun. I think I did see that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Jenna was filming her project, the true crime one, but as the show went on, she got increasingly more pregnant. So I think she might have her hands tied up with that. Uh, it was really funny because, like, I don't know if when they pitched the show they knew that that was going to be happening, and they didn't really. I mean, like, it was just like part of like the the process and the jokes of season one was that, right? You're like, because she starts off, she's like standard comedian build or whatever, and then you're like, dang, she's putting on a little weight, and then you get into episode like three or four, and you're like, oh wait, are we watching an actual transformation in front of our very eyes? So it was fun. She the focus was she's like focused on like cases that people overlook because of social bias. So it's a really
Okay.
cool like take on the true crime genre because there she's going places that it's not just like the most well-known cases in America or whatever because it's easy to get those ones, but she was really like doing the research, man.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, highly recommend if you get a chance to check it out. Or are into true crime because that might not be your thing either.
I couldn't even get into only murders in the building,
That's fake crime,
and
so I understand.
but it's like about people, and it's about people who are into true crime, and it has Steve Martin in it.
Uh,
So,
I mean,
and Martin Short, both of the
yeah,
Martins.
and
there,
Martin Short, yeah.
yeah, it's Selena Gomez. If we're gonna list the whole cast, we should do that. Just to make sure. Uh, Selena Gomez.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Uh, but yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a genre that's very popular right now, but not everybody is into it. I forget. So. Yeah, dude, like I'll be at work listening to like 3 hour long or 4 hour long interrogations just to like fill the time. So, and I'm almost,
Really?
yeah, almost run out of this. Yeah, it's super interesting to hear like how people lie or like what they sound like when they lie and how detectives will get around like social blocks without causing a fight. And I think that dynamic's really, really interesting. Like a detective who can get what they want out of a interrogation and still at the end, like they shake hands and be like, yeah, that was good. Like, thank you. Like the suspect will, they don't have any animosity to the person who got them to confess. I think that that's a really
Right.
interesting dynamic. And then also, it's just that, when you're listening to people talk in general, like we all have these tells about, when we're lying and when we're not. And I just find that very useful to selling, or like interacting with people in general. Because like there's really common tones that people use, or
Mhm.
tactics, and we don't even like learn them. I think that they're like, kind of hardwired into us. Now, some people are really, really good, or they believe their lies so thoroughly that it feels like the truth. So that's another thing. Like you'd be like, I know that's not true because I know how this case turns out, but the way this guy's telling it, it really sounds like he believes it. Anyway, but yeah, I have 9 hours on my hands to fill because it's often just me working, on steadily on bikes and selling stuff to people, when they ask. So it's just going on in the background. Ugh.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts at work too, but I usually listen to uh, podcasts that are like more like like history based or
Cool.
political based. Like there's one called Behind the Bastards where the guy basically just goes in depth on the history of like people that are just kind of like overlooked or not so overlooked this bastards of history.
Oh, that's
And
cool. Okay, gotcha. Were they like known for
yeah,
something, but that didn't get the whole backstory?
yeah, like or maybe they're not so well known but they're still a bastard, so he goes through like all the reasons why. um and yeah, it's a very eye-opening podcast about just the history of like things that people have done to just yeah, like just be some of the worst people. Like, I mean, just really drives home the point too, just like the banality of evil too, because like usually
Uh,
these people are like not, they're not like sitting in their secret lair like plotting like the fall of mankind. Like they're literally just trying to like make it, and they're trying to make it for evil. Like it's just I don't know. It's
yeah,
very
no,
it's
that
kind of
mo
dark. sometimes.
Bad guys don't know they're bad guys, right? Or villains don't know they're evil, right? Most of the time.
I, most of the time, I would say, yeah. And they're just, they're trying to like do a good thing. Like they're trying to like, just sell some, like, dude, the Nestle like, baby formula thing. I mean, it's a fucked up story. It's an
Yeah.
extremely fucked up story. And again, like it was all just like people just being like, well, I mean, we gotta sell baby formula. We gotta sell this, we I mean, we gotta sell baby formula.
Yeah.
We gotta get doctors to it's recommended for us, and we gotta like I don't know. It's just like all these things that people tell themselves when they're doing something really bad to like just keep doing like a bad thing because they think it's okay to do like a bad thing, and then all of a sudden babies are malnourished. That's not funny, but I
No,
mean,
but exactly. I mean, it's like that sort of thing. Like their corporate greed is not, and then they're like, they don't double think, what's the effects that
yeah,
we're having on this? That it's actually the corporation needs to be fed money and we need to do it.
yeah.
However, it needs to be fed. So, uh, that's, yeah. And the
That's my
corporation,
true
of
crime.
of course, being the uh the shareholders behind them. But yeah, no, see,
Yeah,
and that's the sort of thing like it's also interesting like that I get into. It's not just that people have done crimes, but like the events that lead up to them, like the whole story about who they are, and like, yeah, the cults, conspiracies, um, worst tragedies in history, like that's definitely stuff that is recommended to me too. I didn't realize that I had been scrolling past Behind the Bastards, because once you suggested that, I just looked it up and I was like, oh, I've been seeing these thumbnails. Like it's definitely been on the list of YouTube's like, hey, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this show too. So I will definitely check that
oh
out.
well,
Yeah. This
yeah, for sure. Like I would say that it's a you know top tier podcast in my opinion. Um, very straightforward. Doesn't really waste your time. Um, like he gets pretty straight to the point about like why he is like claiming that somebody is a bastard and goes through their whole history, but pretty quickly, pretty succinctly. Like it does take a couple episodes sometimes to get because he goes through people's whole history, but he builds the case for like how their life brought them to like make the choices that they made, so that you understand sometimes like in great detail why they truly are a bastard because it's like this person didn't have to choose this. This
right.
person had a great life. This person had a great childhood. This person had a fucking great like they're just a fucking asshole. Like they're just a straight up fucking like piece of shit
Right.
that didn't have to make these choices. They're just a fucking bastard for real. Sometimes you do have like a little bit of sympathy for people, but they're still bastards. So it's like you don't like. I mean, the sympathy dries up pretty quickly because it's like, yeah. I mean, at any point here, you could have been like, I went through this exact same thing and I don't want to put anybody else through it. But instead, you were like, no, double down.
Right. They're going through it because I went through it, right?
Exactly. And it's just like, no, not with that.
Right.
Um, yeah. And I mean, I really appreciate the perspective on things because the guy is not he's not a political like operative in any sense of the word. Like he's very thoughtful, um, you know, moderate, I would say. Um, Journalist type guy. Has written for a couple places and been to some war zones. So he's not
Cool.
somebody that just, is just, has a podcast project. Like he, has been out in the world and seen like a little bit of stuff. And,
Yeah, that's what I've been
um,
appreciating more and more is that YouTube is becoming the place for journalists to actually go, since obviously journalism is kind of drying up as far as, regular type of media or whatever, traditional media. Um, and so yeah, people who have some skills, they get into it and they start really exploring ideas. Um, for sure. So that's cool. I'm glad that you recommended him. I'm definitely gonna listen. because I don't think I would. His thumbnails aren't really, they're not spectacle-y, you know what I mean? So it didn't really grab me.
Mm,
It looks like some dude with a mic is what they look like. And I was kind of like, there's so many of those dude with a mic podcasts.
I hate those. Yeah, I really.
And
I
they
mean,
just
just
felt
people saying how
grounded.
tiring.
Yeah, people's opinions, you know what I mean? Like that's fine if that's what the thing is. Like, but yeah, I wanna learn some stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of time on my hands. Like I want to pick up some more information about, how people behave is really my big thing. That's why true crimes, cults, and conspiracies, like those types or true conspiracies, are like the most fascinating thing to me because it's like this is a historical event that happened. These are the circumstances that shaped the people. This is how people responded to it in that moment. You know what I mean? So you get this like really different picture of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get captivated myself, like learning about certain things in history that like crimes that people like committed, like what drove them to do it, and certain things. But at a certain point, I think I started getting like a little too just like freaked out of like murder shit because I do live in a big city where, I mean, I guess at any time somebody could. I mean, I guess there's always just the possibility that somebody can.
Literally, that's the crazy thing to me is that it happens everywhere all the time. Like not just
Yeah,
Florida. Like, you know.
and just yeah, I hate thinking about just the fact that, I mean, some people can't be reasoned with because they're just they've gone to a different place.
And
So
that's the thing. Like that's what really gets me is like when you hear like the circumstances that push people to do a murder or any other set of crimes, like oftentimes you're like, really? Huh? It was that, huh? Like that was
yeah,
the straw that broke the camel's back. And
yeah,
generally it's just like such a banal, like really low level, or like the
yeah,
person themselves, they're like, how is this person even a killer? Either when you look at their backstory or you talk to any of the people around them, they're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like it's crazy how many girlfriends and ex-girlfriends will defend their partners and be like, he's absolutely, there's no way whatsoever. And I'm listening to it being like, well, that guy's a known name. It's definitely the case. And like in my mind, I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, he's a killer. But like to hear their firsthand accounts of like how it's a surprise to them, and they're not like involved in the crime in any way. They were just as duped as everybody else, and they have like
right.
contact with them on a regular basis. You know, so
Yeah, I mean, people fall in love with people in jail, like
that's
Alan
another
with
aspect, right? Yeah, Charles Manson got married when he was in jail.
yeah. I just, again, it scares me because I'm like, I don't think that I'm like someone above or different from any of these people, like I feel
Right.
like I'm one bad day away from, falling in love with a serial killer. Like
Well,
I
exactly. We were having a conversation last
Everyone
week.
is one bad day from being like me.
right, yeah.
Now we found out Aaron's big dark secret. He seems like such a nice guy, but probably he actually has bodies in his freezer.
Oh yeah. Oh,
They wouldn't fit. I mean, what?
There's just too many bodies. No, but that's the thing. Like we were
Like
talking last week about
your human body
relationships.
is too big. It doesn't fit like in the freezer.
No,
You'd have to get
dude.
like one of those big specialty freezers, but do they even make those anymore?
So
I don't
no,
know.
so
they
turns
do for
tur
sure.
turns
They
out
do for
that
sure.
a human body is not too big to fit in a freezer because there's a case of a dude who did it and kept a girl's body for 2 years in his fridge.
The whole
Whole thing.
body.
He didn't cut it up until much later. Like so it was a trophy for him.
Wow.
But he was kind of
That's
like savoring it. But yeah, no, that's what they found out after the fact. She'd been missing for a really long time. He took all the shelves out of the fridge and he just kept her in there. Um, so
Like a full fridge. Yeah, definitely.
oh,
But a freezer,
you
the
talk about
freezer part is small.
the sliding door
well,
part or
I'm talking about like if you're where the
bottom part is the fridge, the top part is the freezer.
Oh,
It's just like a
one of
square.
those. Yeah, so
Yeah.
generally people have been found, but they're in pieces in the freezer. Yeah, not just the whole thing. Except for the big deep freezers, which they have found several
Yeah, the big
bodies in.
deep freezers.
Yeah,
Like, sure, my parents have like one that doesn't work anymore, but
it's
like,
they're fairly common down here. It's
I
like,
mean, it's common knowledge that you hide bodies in those in the Hitman series. So
oh, right, yeah, exactly. The fun
yeah,
set of games.
like
That,
yeah, he's hiding bodies in freezers all the time in
yeah,
kitchens and stuff.
yeah,
So yeah,
pretty well
like
known.
you can definitely hide him in those. I mean, it's in a video game, so it must be true.
Got to move a lot of the other meat out of the way. But yeah, no, dude, that's the thing that gets me about relationships is that, like you could be in a relationship with someone who you think is the nicest person in the world, and then like either they flip on you, which is a thing that happens in some of the relationships, or they just is the sudden shock that they've had this secret life, you know? Uh, yeah, like Bundy's girlfriend defended him. Who was like, no, there's absolutely no way. And we
Wasn't
know,
Ted Bundy a lawyer? He was like
uh,
he was a
no,
truly
no,
no, he
Bundy,
sold he sold
Bundy,
shoes.
Bundy
he sold
decided,
shoes.
Bundy decided
Yeah,
to lawyer for himself, but he has no training whatsoever.
Okay.
If you watch
Oh,
it,
okay. So
it's an
okay.
absolute circus, and then it's him torturing his victims while they're on the stand. Uh, it's an absolute absolute circus. Nobody should do that unless they're a raging narcissist, which he was. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah.
Um,
So you probably have seen him in, like photos of him in court, uh, doing his thing
I,
In
I,
Florida no less, where they have the death penalty. Like he was definitely trying to get himself killed.
um, yeah, because Ted Bundy was the 70s, right? Didn't he do his thing in the 70s?
Yeah, it was kind of extended over the 60s and 70s, but yeah, that's when his trial came out. He went from tech, he escaped in California and Texas, and then he ended up in Florida. But yeah, yeah. He was he got more notoriety because of his appearance, because he just didn't look like an evil person, except for when you
Yeah.
start seeing him smile, like after he gets arrested. But apparently, yeah, he worked as he was working on a suicide hotline with Anne Rule. That's how she met him. He was trying to convince people not to kill themselves so that he could, I guess. I don't know. That's a complicated one for sure. But yeah, no, he also
Uh,
did the shoe salesman, I don't believe is Bundy. I think it's like Kemper or something like that. Although I might be wrong. I'll look that up here.
I just know about the television series in the '90s. So
That had oh yeah, exactly. All yeah, Bundy, yeah,
there was a
Bundy
Bundy
is
television series
yeah, it's called
in the 90s.
Married with Children. And that's the joke that Aaron's
Oh,
making that
gotcha,
flew completely under the
gotcha.
radar for all of us.
Right, right. Yeah, gotcha. I was like, wait a minute, there was a Ted Bundy TV series in the
See,
90s?
and I always really wanted them to tie that into the case. Like you find out that, like it's like he's actually a serial killer, but they never really took that turn.
yeah, or at
No.
least could have been related to him, same last name. Like that would have been a funny side plot. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would have been, yeah. Jack, I'm sorry.
hey,
You're
I
absolutely right.
swear
His
I'm not
killing
a
spree happened from 74
I
to
swear I'm not
70.
a murderer.
Cause of death, the electric chair. Yeah, and really just kind of that question of like, what really pushes people over the edge to that point, point of no return.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you like hear their childhood, you'd be like, oh yeah, those are all the earmarks. What would push somebody to do that? But sometimes it's just not the case. Like again, the same thing with the behind the bastards thing. You're like where did you get the idea that you just really wanted to destroy other people's lives? And it's just like, well, I guess they're just inherently bad.
Yeah.
Like they've been given everything, they're taken care of as people and, just inherently bad.
Yeah, like that's what I really appreciate about that show, like the way that he lays out their like known history. He'll like lay it out where it's just like so you can see like this. I mean, this person had every opportunity to make a different choice. Like, they were definitely exposed to these kinds of ideas, but they ended up making these choices. So they're a piece of shit. Fuck them.
Right, right.
Like he really like goes like I don't know, to like the right parts of the story to really show how the person you know, like just did, did or did not want to do the right thing. Sometimes, I mean, they are trying, some people are trying to do the right thing, or they're just like an incompetent fuck up that's just trying to, get some power, influence, or whatever, and so they don't really give a shit who they hurt. And I mean,
Right.
that's also some kind of like bastard thing, but there are the occasional people that are like, really trying to make something truly terrible happen. And he those are usually like big 6-parter episode. Like he has big, long, like 3, 4, 5-part episodes. Sometimes like even as much as 6-part episodes for people that are like truly dastardly. But
I'm about it. I definitely have a lot of time to fill.
yeah, dude, you will enjoy Behind the Bastards. There
Yeah,
are a lot of episodes, and the episodes are they're very enjoyable. I definitely I recommend. I rate them.
nice. And it seems like they have a lot of content too. Like I was just kind of scrolling through, man, like dang, like when I get into
Yeah, they got
some
a lot of
like I find
episodes.
someone's channel, yeah, I'll go and I'll watch most, if not all, of their channel just to like catch up to what's going on. And then I might not watch it at all after that, but if they have a lot of content, it's always a good thing to like dive into.
Yeah.
Because sometimes just straight up, I just get tired of hearing the same people's voices over and over again.
Yeah, it sucks when that happens, but it's like you do like get to that point with some podcasts where it's like you realize like, oh man, I really don't like this person's voice, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like great content. Like I really want to know more, but
yeah,
it, the way that you talk is like not just the tone of voice, but like the idioms you use too. Like they're just
yeah,
grating. Like
exactly.
it was cute at first, but now it's every time. So
Yeah.
done. I'm done.
Rachel Maddow is that way for me. Like I have
Okay.
absolutely nothing against her, at all. Like professionally, I think she does like a really great job. I think her news program is very informative and everything like that. But like the way that she delivers, the way that she just like speaks, it's just like I can't. I don't. It's not for me. Like like we're not. We are not on the same. Rachel Maddow and I are not on the same. Like, would probably get annoyed being in the same room.
Totally.
um,
That I understand that.
but my roommate likes her, so we watched her show a few times, and I mean, I agree with her points of view, and uh, she's like very informative and makes a mean show, but I don't know.
Right, where you're just like, all right, just you need to stop talking.
It's just like I mean, like the how you emphasize points, and it's like I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Thank you. Anyway, I probably sound like an asshole.
No, you're
People
you're
probably
doing the Tony Collette thing. So I mean, I'm gonna get you a pass.
see no, like
I'm
I
just telling you, it's the way that she uses her face, and that's and, like I actually don't dislike her. It's just the way that she uses her face and the shape of it. None of
and
those
the
things.
shape of it.
Yeah, and the shape of it. But like, like I like also like hands down, great performer, always does exactly what's like required for the role, you know, sends it. But like, yeah, no, just it's her visual voice or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. Like I don't. I'm not saying Rachel Maddow is horse faced. I'm not saying that.
That was a
That's
far
not.
reach. I'm gonna apologize since it's been called out publicly here. I'm gonna apologize for saying horse face for sure. I was just like I was trying to like give a quick reference to be like, you know who I'm talking about, and that was not. I mean, not necessarily. That was a little bit harsh for sure for her.
And that's the thing. It's like I feel like I'm being hard. I'm being like unnecessarily harsh somehow on Rachel Maddow,
You see,
but
and
it's
that's what I'm
just
saying. Like it's a pass because there's just things sometimes that just grate at you for like no real reason. It's just like
it's true.
as a personal preference, even though I like everything that they do, I just cannot anymore. And that's where I'll get with podcasters too. I'll be like, you know what, you have great content. You're doing a fantastic
Yeah,
job editing. I'm actually not bored, but like if you say you go girl one more time, I'm gonna be done. And then they do, I'm like, all
yeah.
right. Like I'm in the
See,
middle,
for
I'm a
me,
middle of a break job, and
it's like gaming podcasts for me, where like you can just tell that some people are just like. I know that everybody has their like thing that they're like super like nerdy about and geeky about and fanboy girly whatever about. But when I'm listening to your podcast and you consistently like can't, I don't know, like you're always like waffling about like how you feel about certain properties like Nintendo properties or like this company or that. It's like it starts to get on my nerves a little bit. Like I
right.
won't name the podcast, but there have just been some podcasts I've listened to in the past where it's just like, some people they just they have to always kind of like mitigate their feelings when it comes to Nintendo. Or they have to like, they can't like really be as like harsh as I would say they would be as with somebody else when it comes to like Nintendo. And I'm just like, that really upsets me because it's like Nintendo is one of those companies that needs to get bit back every once in a while because they have such a big like de- devoted fan base, like so like they need to like let the fans use like clips and music and stuff on YouTube, or things like that. Like I don't know. Anyway,
Oh, they don't allow that? Is that why I have not seen like playthrough footage?
Nintendo will hit you with a fucking copyright claim real quick if you.
Infringement. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's so wild because they have such a big fan
No.
base.
Well, they protect their copyrights pretty strictly, and that just means that they'll go after people that try to use fair use clips sometimes just to like remind. I don't know, like they just have one of those like hardliner like things that it's just like
It
even
ma-
sometimes they know people aren't like violating something, they'll still like hit them with something because they want people to be scared and whatnot.
well, right. There's a not everybody's crossing the line, but you can't just let anybody do it because they will cross the line. Like who is that
No,
creator? He had like a long running show. I think it's still on. That it was he was taking stuffed Mario characters and then like making sketches out of them. But he was calling them something else. Like oh man, and they were like borderline offensive, but they obviously it was like cutesy.
I have no idea
You have
what this
no,
is, but
it was like early 2000s internet, if I remember right. Um, and I cannot, but it was all Nintendo properties, and then they eventually made him shut it down. Um,
hmm,
the cool thing about it was he just revamped the show without the characters using like the voices that he had made up for them, and then made all new puppets, and the show's still become really popular. Like it's come right back again.
interesting. He was
But
making it was puppets he was making.
yeah, so initially, if I remember right, he had stuffed Marios and Yoshis, and he would like make them like do scenes and stuff and do all the voices for him, and then edit that together. And he had kind of it was like a sitcom, but kind of like sketch comedy, because they had like running storylines and running characters, but it was just a bit. He was just doing bits, uh, and then.
Hmm.
And then Nintendo shut him down for it because I mean it just became hugely popular. Super Mario Logan.
Okay. I've never seen this before, but you know what it's reminding me of? Did you ever? I mean, you knew. Um, uh, yeah, you knew Bear Program, so you knew Chris Key.
Yeah.
Chris Key is the one that introduced me to it. House of Cosby's.
Oh, yeah. That actually came from Highway 101 or whatever. That's one of Justin Roland's projects, if I remember right. Like one of his early
Oh,
ones.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, dude. I mean, I remember finding out about that from Chris Key, and I found out about it right as he was getting the cease and desist from uh, Cosby.
From
So I think
guys.
he had just put out his last episode, which was like, I mean, just nightmare fuel. Just
Yeah.
a weird episode that's just like basically like as fuck you to Bill Cosby as could possibly be. This is like a cease and desist, and it's the last episode. Yeah, but um, yeah, that's like the only project that I know of that ever got like a cease, like a that got like hugely viral, and then immediately got like a cease and desist.
Yeah, there was one too around that same time. I think the dude's name was Nealon. I can't remember his first name, but he was doing a Harry Potter from the movie, like it was like footage from the movie, but he was narrating as if it was an audiobook, and then he was just like
Mhm.
making up random stuff about the world at large, like just the yeah. Anyway, he got a cease and desist too before J.K. Rowling finally backed off on all of those stuff. But yeah, just like monstrous parodies of real life IPs, like it was
Yeah,
definitely a thing in the early 2000s.
I mean, it definitely was, and I am shocked that people thought that it would ever turn out any other way besides how it did. But
Right? Like, no, actually,
um,
you can't steal stuff even if you're trying to be real funny with it.
y- yeah, like you can't just use people's names and property and stuff. But I am mad that I missed this thing that you were talking about before, which I
Sup-
can't even remember what it is now.
I did look it up. It's Super Mario Logan.
Super
And
Mario Logan. Yeah.
yeah, and that was his name. I don't think it is called that anymore. It was called SML for short. But apparently,
SML,
yeah, SML because it's Super Mario Logan. And I
giving our
think,
boy like some cheeks here. He's got cakes.
yeah, he got them.
Got them cakes. He got them things, you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, it looks like it's actually still ongoing, and it's been ongoing since 2007. So, I mean, good for him. Oh no, it did. It ended in 2021. The page I saw was not updated.
Oh, gotcha. Well, he had a journey.
Yeah, 2007 to 2021 for a parody account, a parody show that's based off Nintendo properties. I mean, that's pretty damn respectable. I mean, that's 14 years of doing that show. And like I
Well,
said, he had a huge following. He lost it a couple of times and then gained it back again when he rebranded. He gained it back again just based off its content, and it was no longer about even like the Mario universe, or the parody of the Mario universe. So like, yeah, definitely mad props to that guy. Let me see what he's doing now, because I mean, obviously he knows how to keep and maintain an audience.
Oz, what's your favorite viral internet phenomenon that was given a cease and desist order?
I mean, it's a topic we're on now, so
My favorite thing that was given a cease and desist order would have been a very Potter musical.
oh,
Um,
that's yeah, all the Harry Potters were shut down back in the day.
yeah, Earl, like I don't know, musical based on the first couple Harry Potter movies, and it was fantastic. One of them like went on to have a really good career. He went on Glee and all sorts of other things, and but the show they weren't allowed to. They're not allowed to make money on it. They're not allowed to sell it, but it's still on YouTube. Uh, yeah, so that's the only thing I know that was given a cease and desist order.
Okay, and you also like it, so definitely fits the category.
Yeah.
Here we
Yep.
have Jack looking at pussies.
Well, you know how it is.
Which one we gonna make that fat pussy?
You know how it is. You know how it is.
Oh wow, this is actually crazy. So he did a movie in 2017 that went to theaters, probably select theaters, because I can't imagine it got a wide release, but um, yeah, that those characters, people actually got to see it in a theater at one point. Fucking A. So it's got 1,344 episodes. And according to IMDb, it's still happening.
What is still happening?
Yeah, okay, so there is a show that the names are separate. It's three words, Super Mario Logan, and that's the one that ended in 2021. But the TV series Super Mario Logan is one word, is still running. Yeah, so he's definitely gone beyond 14 years. He's almost approaching uh yeah, he's coming up on 20 in a couple more years.
Wait, 20 years?
Yeah, so that's how long he's
Super
been.
Mario Logan.
Yeah, Super Mario Logan. And then the Super Mario Logan is the one with the puppets that he made. And the old one was the one with the dolls that he got from Nintendo.
Gotcha.
Wow. Okay, again, deep wiki on that one. Oh yeah, that's my favorite part of the panels. We get to see some pussies. Look at her face. Look at her face. But yeah,
Years. Years.
Aaron, I forgot to share the punchline with you from that story yesterday. You know how I was telling you that like it was like it's weird to have a job because sometimes you have beef with a 16-year-old.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I definitely didn't want to have beef with them, and like I was doing the things I could not to have beef with them, but the kid was just, insisting on it just being a dumb kid, I guess. Um, and deciding that we have beef. So here's the punchline though. Like I left this out because I got kind of wrapped up in the longness of the story. So the reason the kid doesn't work there anymore is because he quit. He finally quit. But the reason that he quit was because we kind of saw that he wasn't going to be around for too much longer. And there's a guy who filled out an application. And the kind of thing with the bike shop, is that there's not a whole lot of people who necessarily want to work in a bike shop. So my boss pretty much hires anybody who applies, because it's just facts. Like there's a turnover. He's got positions to fill. And so when people show interest in bikes, he will take them on to see how they will do.
So
So
he
that,
cycles through employees.
oh
Ooh,
wow,
you beat me
wow.
by like a fucking second. You beat me
I,
by like 1 second.
yeah, that was that wow, sleeper joke. So no, he doesn't. He doesn't. But like the fact of the matter is like, people come and go all the time. And it takes a long time to learn how to work on bikes, like 9 months to a year. So he's got to get the process started if he's going to get a replacement for somebody who may quit in a year. So he takes people on and just trains them up to see, if they're going to stick around. And it takes people time to see if they want to do it. Anyway, so this kid comes in one day, the kid who's decided we've got beef, and I'm training this guy who's there. Now, this is not a slam on the guy who's there. These are just true facts. So he's borderline retarded. Like, and again, that's not dogging on him. Like, I was having a conversation with him. He was telling me about his learning disabilities and his social incapabilities, and he's on medication. And he only got so far. He was in high school for a really long time just because he was in the special ed program and like, all this sort of stuff. So the kid who thinks he's hot shit comes in, and then he sees that I'm training somebody else, and then he sees that the person that I'm training is like, just for the record, like just a below average intelligence, but great attitude, willing to do whatever was to be done. Like I was like, hey, we need this cleaned, we need these tires aired up, all this sort of stuff. And so the kid who I was having beef with, or was having beef with me rather, like he kind of like sizes up the situation, and then he recognizes that this other guy is going to be his replacement, and he like has a meltdown. Like he can't like handle the idea of like that's who's going to be replacing him. And then that's when he finally decided to leave. So anyway, that's the punchline, is that the dude who decided that we have beef got upset that he saw a retarded person trying to take his job. So it was just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I'm from the 90s. You can't say retarded anymore, can you?
I
Yeah, I
mean,
was gonna I was gonna
I
say, it's more appropriate to say,
all the
like
things I'd
mentally
said
handicapped
before.
or
Yeah, before that.
differently abled.
I'm sorry.
I think it's now
I'm
like
from the
person
90s
of lower
again.
grades. Uh,
Yeah, and that again, I wasn't trying to use it as like a slur on this guy at all, because like I said, he was really nice and very capable of doing all the things that we were asking him to do. But like he was in the special ed. Like that's the grouping. I'm so sorry. Apologies to everyone for the R word as
I
being
mean,
Well,
called.
I'm not against it, so I know that other people are, so I don't
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever.
it's
my
What
sister
to
definitely
do.
is
era thing.
special. Yeah, my sister is special needs, and she's encountered a little bit of slurring with that word.
Yeah, I'm
With
super sorry,
people.
man. Like
So
that was in the back of my brain. That's what popped up, and I was like, oh, I just said that. Yeah, and I'm not in any way trying to be offensive to people who have limited abilities, or to the guy who has come in to start working. That was not intended at all. It was
yeah,
it was more of a
I hate
classification. So
I hate it when it becomes like a political thing because it's like it's not even like if people are going to be like rude to people like my sister, it's like they're just going to do it and they're going to use whatever word. So it's not even really like a thing that I try to like turn as like a political thing, but it is like a thing that shows like I mean people that choose not to use that word, you can tell that they will respect someone who has those special needs versus like people that like really want to call someone that for
see,
whatever reason.
well, and exactly,
Um,
you're hitting on why I feel bad about it, because like I definitely like I didn't look down on that guy or anyone who has limited capabilities. You know what I mean?
right.
It was really just we use the word we used to use
Yeah.
the word commonly, uh, which
Yeah, I
is
used to use it too. And,
it's
I,
ju-
again, I hate that it becomes like a political thing, but it just, it's, yeah, it shows a level of respect, I would say, for those kinds of people versus, yeah, like people that, because, yeah, like I can see this guy that you're talking about, this kid that you have beef with, like, obviously he doesn't hold them in high regard if he's mad that they're being replaced at a job that he doesn't care about. You know.
Well, no, that he no. The thing was that he thought he was top shit, and like that was
Okay.
what the beef was about. Is that you couldn't be like, hey, you've made a mistake and you need to fix it, because his comeback was
Gotcha.
always like, I didn't make a mistake. Like I can't make mistakes, you know. And so then he sees somebody
That's
who
annoying.
in his yeah exactly. And so it was like, all right, bro. I mean that I guess if you can't make mistakes, then like I don't know what to do with you, you know, like to me, like that's the actual deficiency. Like the lack of
Yeah.
self-awareness is a deficiency. Where this dude who had come
Yeah.
in, like he was like, "Hey, you gotta talk real slow to me and explain thoroughly what you need, and I need to know if I'm not doing it right." Like, and I was like, "This guy is awesome." Right? Like
Right.
this is the guy that I want to work with. And then the kid who thought that he was like everything everyone would ever want him to be, like sees that dude and he's like, "Oh, really? Well, I'm out," you know? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I was sharing with the guys
Well,
yesterday that I was like, and so yesterday was one of the best days that I've had in almost a year because the dude who thought he could make no mistakes wasn't there anymore.
you're gonna
Because,
learn. You're gonna learn today, kid.
right, yeah, because of course he was, you know, and that's the worst thing about it too was like, if you don't believe you can make mistakes, guess what? You make more mistakes than anybody else. Like those
Right.
are just facts. Like if you don't have the thing in your brain that goes, I wonder if I'm doing this right, you know, like because you just believe that you are, then you don't go back and check to see if you have done it right,
I agree. Totally. Oh,
dude. And there's
like,
like with mechanical stuff like bikes, you really have to just like you may have gotten it right, but you have to play with it enough to make sure that you did get it right too. It's like it's just a
yeah.
requirement. Sorry, I cut you off. You said like,
No, no, I was going to say essentially what you were saying, where, with machinery, machinery can be finicky and change its mind. Like, I mean, you can have something fixed, but maybe you forgot to check something else, and it unfixes itself. I don't know. Like, I've worked with a lot of machines where I had it fixed for like a minute, and then it was not fixed anymore because of other things happening to it, it being old, or I would forget to, like, I would make a mistake. Like, that's the thing, is like I can't imagine somebody not being taught that they do make mistakes, just by circumstance, because
right, yeah, and
it's
that's the part that I was struggling with because like that was what most of our conversations were was like, wait, you can't make mistakes? Like, hold, it's like, you're a human, right? Like, yeah,
yeah.
it just
Like
it's
maybe you're a human.
yeah, well, and that's what like the mentality was like, well, you know, that's okay for you because obviously you make mistakes, right? I'm like, yeah, no, obviously I do make mistakes. Like that's the great thing about, you know, maturing is that I realize it's okay. You know, like it
Right.
doesn't destroy who I am. Like I don't drop in value because I make a mistake. Like
Right.
there are situations that I'll have to get myself out of now because I've done that, but like, you know, it's the same thing. I guess like as an improviser too, like, you know, it's just an understandable thing. Like sometimes mistakes are beautiful because they take you to these other places. And sometimes they're
Yeah.
disastrous, but still you
Well, and
gotta do.
also sometimes they make the experience, like that
Oh yeah.
Pete and Pete episode that dealt with the eating the barbecue wings, where the guy, he ate the wings perfectly and didn't need a wet nap at the end, and that's when everyone in town realized that he had done it wrong, even though he had made no mistakes the whole time. But um, because he didn't need a wet nap at the end, he had done it incorrectly because the experience is just flawed if you don't.
Oh, he lost the experience because yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I can't remember what the gist of the episode was, like why his perfection was like a threat to everyone, but like he was just like he was just like the perfect person and made no errors. And in the end, he did this barbecue wing, like, thing with one of the Pete's, and he didn't need the wet nap at the end, and that's how Pete was able to show everyone in town that he was actually not the cool person that they thought he was, because he He did not need a wet nap at the end of
Because
the
he clearly wasn't enjoying the wings.
it's just like you didn't do it right. Like you, it's like everyone knew intuitively he didn't do it right. Like that something had been missing in his approach, and that it's not correct to not need a wet nap at the end. Like if you don't need a wet nap at the end of eating some wings, then it's just that does not compute. Like that's like you know, getting to the end of Splash Mountain and not getting wet. Like you didn't really enjoy the ride. You didn't really ride Splash Mountain if you didn't get wet at least one time.
And that is true.
Um, so yeah, like sometimes making a mistake is a part of the experience. It like gives you the fuller um like perspective of what it means to really really live, I guess,
Well,
or
yeah,
really.
you said I was gonna say to be human, like to be human is to make mistakes because we have
Yeah,
a
the
limited
errors.
perspective. Yeah, that's the quote.
Of course, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. This is
Oh,
not a weakness, that is life.
Commander Data! Commander Data!
Uh,
Yeah, my
Yes.
favorite episode with Data playing with that is him actually losing a game on purpose to frustrate Cardassian or something.
That's
oh yeah,
yeah,
there
that
was like that game that only like he realized he couldn't beat him by trying to win. He had to try to get a draw.
Yeah, oh that's right. Yeah,
Uh
yeah, yeah. That's he's like, but you're not winning, right? And he's like, yeah, that's not the goal. That's not the goal for me. I'm like, ah,
that
yeah.
that's the that's the episode we're talking about, right? That quote comes from because
I
he
think
he
so.
gets
oh,
because he
is
gets
it okay?
beat and then he's like,
Oh, it's in
yeah,
the
because he gets
beginning.
beat
Oh,
and then
right.
he's like, oh, I
He's like,
got
but
I got
he's
beat.
like,
There must be something wrong with
but he's
me.
like, I've made no mistakes. You're right. That is from that episode. Yeah,
Yeah, trying to get some. Working out.
under boob.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this shadow to look like it's on some fur, but it's just like
Yeah, that's
flailing.
definitely a challenge. Uh, while I
Um, I want to go back to talk about Commander Data though, because I love that episode. Sometimes you do commit no mistakes and you do still lose. I mean, like it's just sometimes you just like I've had to think about that a lot in playing Rocket League because that is a young man's game, and sometimes you do just do your absolute best, but the other person was just like so on point. Luck was on their side, or they had it so well that it just it wasn't your game. You just had to accept it. Yeah, like I lost this one. I was gonna lose the whole time. I was gonna lose. It was never gonna be a win.
well, and then also like I was just noticing like it was just like so much stress on himself to like have to put up this front of being perfect because you had to reject all the things that were true and then also you had to tell yourself a story about how it was actually that they were perfect, right? And so like it's just
Yeah,
and I remember being that way too because like I was so scared. I wanted to do everything just right. You know what I mean? Like I really have uh penchant, is that the right word? For perfection. Like when something is
oh,
exactly correct. Like I'm just like, oh,
gotcha.
that's awesome. I really love that. Right. And so I remember
Yeah,
desiring to do that as a kid too. And then coming to this realization again when I was studying comedy and like, like it's like part of the beautiful thing about existence is that things are flawed and kind of broken. You know what I mean? So like
yeah.
striving for perfection or insisting that you are perfect is like this divorce of reality where like you're not in touch with like who we actually are as beings as as living in a three-dimensional broken space.
Indeed. I in my three-dimensional broken space, I definitely have plenty of flaws that, um, you know, I don't know, like, I hope people don't see, I guess.
Well, yeah, right,
Um,
exactly. A fully flawed person who accepts that is just like and not okay with or is okay with not changing ever. That's a whole different problem for sure.
yeah.
But
Uh, yeah, thinking that you don't make any mistake. It's like, I mean, that's just to me, that's the mark of somebody like, I don't know, like you're either profoundly stupid or you just are so af- ashamed of your flaws that you really, you, I don't, you're like, you've decided to try and convince yourself you don't have any because you're so ashamed of them.
right, right, yeah, exactly. So it's either dumb or delusional. And so, like, maybe you're not smart enough to realize you have flaws. It's a position a lot of people can operate from. Totally understandable. They haven't had that wake up experience where they've seen themselves from the outside. And, or it's the other
Yeah.
case, like, like you're striving so hard to make a reality that doesn't exist. And so, like, that's where I was like
Yeah.
walking with him too, like, because I could never figure it out. Was he just like actually like not capable of knowing? Or was he a semi-dangerous person because of the degree of delusion that he has? Delusions just in general are just super dangerous. They lead down a path of a lot of terrible things that happen. Um,
Yeah.
because people have these ideas in their mind, and when they get to go on for too long, they build up over decades. And then when an ego is protected by a delusion, when that delusion finally cracks, is when they snap on people, and like just big explosions happen versus the dealing with the small problems that come every day. Again, just going back to the true crime and bastards of reality, like it
Yeah.
doesn't always stem from there, but there is a lot that does stem from there, like the knee-jerk reaction to your delusion being taken away from you.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like people don't it's like another thing to think about when it comes to, why people decide to stick with abusers and stuff like that. Because
Right,
it's
right.
like it's so much easier to believe that your reality can change or that it's actually, okay versus having to like change something so fundamental or something that's like so like it's so far down at the root of everything that you like are believe or at the root of your life, like
That's a really great
yeah,
point, and actually to the point that you'll see that there's generational problems of abuse, where like somebody who is abused by their parents has a tendency to get into an abusive relationship also as adults
yeah,
because they'll say, because otherwise they have to admit that their parents didn't love them or they love them incorrectly rather. You know what I mean? Like whatever that is. But like, and so they just have rationalized that this is the way that my parents behave towards me. That's what love must be. And so therefore, this person is behaving this way. They're doing the same thing. So to break the delusion is so painful because you have to admit to yourself that you've never been loved by the people who should have loved you. And so like
yeah.
and then it goes on like why can't you leave is a big question that abused men and women get asked, and it's because they can't break this fortress that they built up around themselves.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I would say that it's more common to people, like than just people that might be like trapped. Like I mean, like a lot of people like can't give up like little superstitions and stuff like that, or
That's another example.
like
Yeah,
people that believe in stuff like white supremacy or you know uh
there's a very
any
powerful
kind of
delusion,
like
right? Yeah, exactly.
and they don't want to admit that those things are wrong or like any of the prejudices that they've like lived with their whole life are wrong.
Right, yeah,
So
exactly. Like if I accept the idea that whites are not superior to the other races of the world, then I have to accept that white people are just the same as every other person, and we lose the specialness that we've given ourselves, right?
exactly, there's nothing like separating me from like this other person over here, which before, at least, even though we were making the same amount of money and basically lived in the same like station in life, I always felt like a little bit better because it's like at least I'm white and that meant something. But
Right.
at the moment that doesn't mean anything
Yeah.
anymore, then it's just like, yeah, people can definitely. I mean, I think that is like something that you're seeing with like the rise of everything that's like anti DEI, anti woke, and like
Yeah.
everything that happened since Barack Obama was elected president. It's like
Yeah.
ever since like it like became a thing in like the national consciousness that like, oh yeah, like black people are like literally like like being elected to the highest office in the land. Like they're really maybe may not be like any difference between me and a black person anymore. I mean,
Right. Yeah. And
I
there, it
I,
never has been.
yeah, it never has been
And
exactly,
never,
and I
and
think
never
that
has
is
been.
like
Well, and then okay,
I
you
think that
want you want to go back further because what it says is then if that's the case, if we've never been superior to black people, then we've done a really wrong thing in kidnapping them and then forcing them to be labor in this country. And we as a country have done something terrible, right? Like that's the thing that you have to
right,
come like rationalize is like, oh wait, maybe we aren't the good guys. Sorry, I misquoted it.
yeah.
Like, are we the
Uh,
baddies? Yeah.
are we the baddies?
Are
Yeah,
we the
no.
baddies?
Exactly. I mean, I think that's another reason that people are having trouble with the Israel Palestine conflict too, because
Oh,
like
geez.
when you
Yeah.
take a look at the history of like the settlements there. I mean, like forget about Hamas. Like if you just take a look at
You
the
can't really forget
creeping.
about Hamas.
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
but you mean
like
that in light of everything else too,
just the
right?
creeping, just the creeping settlement of Israeli people in the West Bank. I mean, it makes people think about this, America and like the way that we just came through and took land away from the Native Americans and just said that it was our God-given right, like manifest destiny and all that. And
Also,
Yeah.
right, let's not miss the where we're kind of the ones who are responsible for the Jews being there, being back on their quote unquote homeland, right? Like that's a direct intervention on the behalf of Americans, right? Like that, so like we have to accept that too. Like we're partially responsible for the genocide that's happening right now.
well, I mean,
Hey, dudes, let's avoid Israel. Could we?
Do you mean like
okay,
Because
a
well,
as a topic or
I'm kind of pro-Israel, guys.
are
So
are are you being serious
I'm
right
not
now?
on your side. Yeah.
I mean, I am for people being in their lands, but that never gives you the right to murder other people. So,
Yeah. I agree.
right? So like, yeah, that which is the problem. It's not that it's a particular group in particular, but that a group is actively doing it now is kind of the problem.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but okay, case in point. So I'm glad. Are you still drawing, Jack? I think we're on the wrong screen.
Oh, I always forget that the
You're all good.
second screen is. Yeah, I
I
am.
I
I
know you
am. I am.
scooted over,
Sorry.
but case in point, you're actually doing the great thing right now, Aaron, because you're feeling that dissonance also, right? Like, if to hear what we're saying, like you have to accept some things that like maybe you thought were good aren't necessarily as good as you thought they were. But to
Oh, I mean, I don't
to
think it's as good as that, but I also don't like vilify Israel its right to defend itself.
I I think you're couching the argument in the wrong place, but uh the
So that's why I sort of want to avoid the topic, just because it like I just
It
know
is
I'm
a
not.
thorny issue. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to. Like make anyone uncomfortable because I know that it's not. I mean, my knowledge of it is purely like historical and factual, nothing like religious or anything like that. So it's like all just yeah, like the horror of all of the murder on both sides and like how it can be easily avoided. But I don't think I don't think anyone that can stop it wants it to stop, because again, there's just like so much to be
Yeah.
gained, it's just yeah, and we are not going to solve it, like
Yeah.
sitting here talking
I mean,
about it.
neither
So,
side wants to stop it. So
yeah, I mean, the only people that want it to stop are
the people who don't live there.
well, anyway, yeah, probably best. So, what is the time, by the way?
Oh, it's about 9 o'clock. So we have about half
9
an hour
o'clock.
left. By the way,
Got about half an hour left.
yeah. Uh, so that's the case. Um, that's so
Let's get
funny.
these cats strong.
Yeah, this is my favorite panel so far.
Want to see, so like I'm gonna I can't forget to put this down again, because I had this up for so long, but this is where the cats are. Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, like I totally get why you're over there as a reference.
So I'm gonna minimize.
Oh, let's save that one. That's Luna.
This is Luna.
No, the not the orange striped one, but the one behind that, the
Okay.
coloring. You could totally do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That cat has a basic
Yeah.
cat design, so that's fine. But the coloring is definitely one we want to use for Luna.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm more like trying to get the how I want the black and white, like under, or the inking to look for
Nice.
these, is why I'm
Yeah.
bringing these in now. So like
And I
this
was I
cat.
was trying to pick like ones with like different kind of body language and expressions too. I know they all have like a cat vibe to them, but you have got to stop scratching me, kitty.
This is so sorry.
Yeah, but like having that, having your worldview like shaken because you begin to realize that not everything is the way that you perceive it. It is, I mean, like if you're not, in my opinion, if you're not constantly doing that, like recognizing that there are a lot of different points of view that in their own ways are valid, even if not completely valid, that it's not one way or another way, but it's kind of like the middle ground uh, in most cases, there's not is not always the case. But like you can't be middle ground on racism, for instance. Yeah, there's definitely a hard stance to be taken on that. You can't be on the middle ground on pedophilia. There's like a hard stance to be taken on that, as examples. But like, with a lot of other like gray area issues where there's two very extreme sides that if we're not constantly recognizing that maybe we don't have all the facts and all the information at this point, and the opinion that we have, while being valid, isn't a fact, right? Like we have to do that with everything because history shows us many different things. Like it shows us that things we thought were definitely true turn out not to be true at all. And so that's like with that kid, like, just like a person who's like unable to recognize that their thoughts about themselves and the world are only one opinion of many is like where I'm like, wow, it's super dangerous. It's just, again, as someone who
I think
listens to
it's something that young people have the biggest problem with, is
for sure.
understanding
Well, because
that
it's a total
they
lack of
can't.
experience, right?
Yeah, like they don't have like the answers that they think they have, or things like things seemed incredibly simple and straightforward when I was in my like 20s. I don't know why I thought that everything was so
Well,
straightforward and simple, but it seemed like like the answers were all just like very simple.
when you don't know things about the world does seem simple. And the more that you discover, the more complex you realize everything is. Like it's
Right.
just, that it's so far beyond what your own brain can absorb. That's just the facts. There's way too much information. There's way too much history. The universe is too big for us to understand. And so like, and that's where I'm like, like I get it as a young person because the same, we were all there until we began to realize that there's just things we can't know, or there's, we've been colored to, by our culture or our company, like the people around us, or by our upbringing, that like pushes us in a direction of believing things. And so like, it's good and necessary to form opinions about the world, but then also we have to like recognize that like it's big and complex. And that's why I think like as we get older that, like we're going to make mistakes kind of becomes like a more regular thing for us, or it should rather, because we begin to realize, like we're just doing the best we can do with the information that we have. And that information is subject to change, uh, once we discover more facts.
Yeah. I mean, some things for some people are not. It's it is not subject to change, and that is the big issue. Is
Well,
where people
yeah.
draw the line.
And maybe, maybe your opinion is not subject to change, but like if you look at history as, as a whole, you realize that things that people held true at one point, it turns out that it's rarely exactly the way they thought it was.
Yeah. I had a friend that went and saw a play here in Chicago yesterday that was about Galileo,
Hmm.
how that motherfucker got locked in a tower
Yeah.
because his ideas went against doctrine.
Again, not even just like
Um,
his proven facts. Like he was like discovering like he was like, whoa, wait a second, hang on. I've actually like we have proof. And the church's like, nah,
yeah,
nah.
exactly. I mean, people they don't, you know, again, like it's just a human condition to not want to give up your point of view. Like it's just easier to believe that things are the way that you think they are. And that's for everybody,
And more consoling, right? Like it's terrifying to live in a world that it's not the way that we think it is.
I mean, I had to kind of come to the realization that the world was not like trending towards the racial equity that I thought that it was when I was like in, high school. Like when I was
Yeah.
in high school, I thought by the time I left college, we were going to be living in a world that was just like, I thought the world was trending towards, yeah, like,
And I think it was, but like it's like a pendulum where like it swings like towards the right and then it goes back a little bit and then it will go forward.
Well, it's culture
I
and
hope.
counterculture, right? Like
Yeah.
there was a trend in a very specific direction, and then because of that, it made people react pretty severely. And this is with everything. And then,
well, that's
the reaction becomes the standard-ish, and then there's a reaction to that as well.
well, I think because people weren't, I mean,
Well, you hit the nail on the head. You said it was when Barack Obama got elected, right? Like,
that's and that's
and
what I'm saying. Like people were very, I don't know, like it kind of shook me because people were not ready somehow still, and I like
mm,
to me like I again like I felt like all through the 90s I was like getting the sense that like the whole world is changing. Like most people believe in racial equity and like this, that, and the other thing. And what it seems like is most people just like they wanted everyone to just stop talking about it. Like the moment that it was sort of like, oh, we can really question this racial equity stuff, like we can be kind of racist again, people were just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, it didn't seem like anything had really changed in people's hearts, is what I'm saying. Like, it
yeah.
just seemed like it was more like, there was like a push culturally for civil rights and things like that, and that was like a popular thing. People felt like they were doing like a good thing with that, and that translated into good business, I guess.
Sort of,
And
yeah.
now
Well,
that, yeah,
I mean, another major event that happened at that time was the birth of the internet, which could have been really useful for people getting a broader exposure to information, but turned out to actually be a bunch of pockets of echo chambers. So
yeah,
people, like where they were ostracized in their communities for being racist, we now can find communities where they can be racist. Now, that also has had some benefits because, like gay rights and gay activism was able to, people were able to find each other even when they're in small communities. The people who are recognizing that they're transgendered, like they're able to find communities that they can gain support, even though they can't find in their towns and homes. But like at the same time, then you have like Tumblr, right? Where it's like maybe y'all have gone a little bit too far on some of these thoughts that you're all having, and there's no one to like
yeah.
contradict you. So Tumblr's not wrong by and large, but there's definitely, the echo chamber there is a little bit weird sometimes.
Yeah, I had my time with Tumblr, and I have to agree that sometimes it can be, you know, very. I guess I never got like news or anything like that from it. Like I was never following Tumblr for like, you know, like my my news, thank God. But
I mean, it's good.
like I did stay informed, I guess, in terms of like I followed artists there, and like stuff that they were working on would inform me about like things that were like coming out and stuff. So like I guess I would know about art projects, and I would know about albums and stuff that were coming out because I would see artists working on stuff for them. So
Right, that
um
that is pretty awesome.
but
Yeah, I,
that
I
was
also
when
could I
did
also could have plugged in Reddit to that too because it has the same opposite problem.
yeah,
So I mean, socially
yeah,
opposite. Yeah.
2008, 2009, I was so plugged into Tumblr. It was actually kind of gross, I would say.
Oh,
But
you were there
um
in the era. That's wild.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely kind of it was like the golden age of Web 2.0, I would say. But it was very like you said, like echo chambery. It was very much like, you know, 20 somethings sharing just like 20 something like trash, like back and forth, back and forth. And then like occasionally like really great artwork or really great writing. But um this is too much fun. Anyway, but yeah, uh, yeah, Tumblr. I stopped really like paying attention to it, and uh, like a few years later, everyone was talking about how Tumblr had fallen and Tumblr was no more and Tumblr had died and all this. And I was like, wow, I got
Wasn't
out.
that when they stopped doing porn?
Oh, right. Oh, see, Kazi just reminded me of
Like,
the
oh well, we can't
major.
do porn there, so I guess we'll just have to stop using it.
Yeah, I.
I don't know. Is
See,
that true?
porn was huge on Tumblr, boy. I tell you what,
I
porn
mean,
was
right,
huge on Tumblr.
as it would be, right? It's the internet.
Um, I remember one of the things that made me decide that I had really gotten over Tumblr was someone's Tumblr that was literally it was porn of people like you know those like shots that people do of them like at some like really dilapidated but cool looking like piece of architecture like a house
Yeah,
or
like
some kind of
abandoned mall that, like in Gary,
ex-
Indiana.
exactly, and they're like walking through and they're like perfectly coiffed or whatever, but it's like this perfectly symmetrical like almost Wes Anderson-y like shot of them in front of something like super dilapidated. Somebody had a Tumblr like that where it was like people fucking. but like shot exactly like this. So it'd be like this like Wes Anderson like like symmetry style shot, like where
Of
it's
porn.
it's like too much stuff. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just like some
I
like
mean, there's
it's
something
basically like
artistic
a
to
dude
that for
fucking
sure.
a
Yeah.
woman. Yeah, I mean it was just like guys, really, this is how somebody's making money? Like this is what some people like. This turns on anyone. Like two people fucking in front of a big pile of like fucking like fallen wood.
That is wild. So
Yeah.
for any if there's any like degenerates who happen to be listening to this later, Tumblr did bring back porn in a couple of years ago. Uh, they
Oh wow.
yeah So there was a time where it like fell off. It looks like 2019 is that era, and then just a couple of years ago they decided it was profitable, so they're gonna bring it
They
back.
oh
But
man,
by that point, everybody had left Tumblr.
they
So
decided porn was profitable. Wow, what a breakthrough.
No, yeah, exactly. That wasn't a quote that I read, but I just was putting that in there because I'm pretty sure in the corporate climate of the world that that was their
Yeah.
reasoning. Like, oh, look, all of our shares are down for the last 3 years. What decision did we make about 3 years ago? And they're like, oh yeah, we
Yeah.
took the porn away. So
Yeah. I mean, again, it's so weird that sex is like this one thing. Like people are so ready to let human nature be the reason that we let ourselves get away with greed of like really just really terrible kinds of greed and stuff. But for some reason, like sex is just like one of those things that just they don't people don't want to like people don't just want to be like, okay, people love sex, let's make some money off of it. Like
well, Puritans
people
can still
can't
be greedy
make
and
that
feel fine
decision.
about it.
Like
Yeah. So
it's very weird. It's very weird to me. Like
yeah, it's
I
not
just
apparently it is among the deadly sins, but it's not the deadliest, I guess.
uh, and I really think that a lot, because you look back at other things that were sins in the past, like eating pork and stuff like that. It was all based on like things that would give you disease and kill you.
yeah,
Like
so it was good that they made those rules because otherwise you would die of a parasite.
Well, and sex actually
right.
has the same roots because there is, I mean, a lot of drama comes from sexual interaction, along with a lot of people who need to be protected from it. Uh, and I mean, like kids being exposed to it. Uh,
Right.
which, so that's one thing. But then also, right, like, you want to cause trouble in the workplace, let two people sleep together. Like that's the thing. It's gonna lead to trouble. You want to like break up relationships, have them like have one of the partners step out. So like yeah, like there is like the same thing as like it will rot a society and kill it, but like you know greed is the number one for us. That is actually destroying our environment, uh, like the weather, also our culture, and then also the majority of citizens who live in the world are being exploited because of that. So you would think that
Yeah.
that would be more of a hard line, right? But it doesn't tie into, so sex can be like singled out to be like, yeah, it's good sometimes between couples and if you want to have a kid, that's like you can single that out, you can say that's a good thing. But the greed part is tied into this idea of being industrious. Like if you are industrious and productive, then you're going to make money, and therefore the more productive and industrious you can be, which are good qualities, quote unquote, then you'll have more money. So greed is actually the thing that's driving production
Right.
in that mentality, right? So that's where we're like, no, it's not a vice. He's just ambitious. Like he's the most hardworking person we've ever seen, because he's making more dollars. Again, and that's
Right.
not a thing that's true, but it's a thing that's believed.
And I think that one of the things that people really do a lot of it to walk them around by the nose is the possibility of making shit tons of money, or at least more money, through whatever kinds of means that they can. Um, it, you know, seems to be kind of what is leading our government right now.
Well,
Um,
and the world government at large. Yeah, I mean, like it's the corporate capitalism is not an American problem. It's definitely been exported. And predates America too. I mean, why do you think the sun never sets on the Union Jack? They were setting up franchises, baby. Like that's it.
yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, yeah, colonialism comes from European expansion, so
Right. I
they
mean, it's the same.
definitely.
Like we as Americans definitely. I mean, like we rejected. We're like we're not from that kingdom. We're not British, but took 100% the values of you. We need to spread out as far as possible. I mean, what do you think manifest destiny is? Right. It's the same thing as colonialism.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we continued the project,
Yeah, it's
and
the project. Yeah, you're right.
um, yeah, it's it is definitely kind of like a gross thing when you think about it. And it makes us all. That's why, I mean, gotta advocate for um
Dang it, dude. You know
the
what I just
individ.
realized? I mean, it's obvious, but it just dawned on me. Like the colonialism is just racism. Like given a financial motivation.
Yeah, typically it
Because
is.
you're like, those people, it's not their land because I'm a white guy. It's my land.
It belongs to me because I deserve. Yeah, I
No
mean,
flag, no country, right? As Eddie Izzard would say.
I you know it's a very. And when I would speak out about, because dude, I used to really be a lot more vocal about, like, reparations. We need to, give back more land to Native Americans, blah blah blah, like all this stuff. And in college, when I was like talking about that stuff, I mean, almost everybody, like, that I would run into would basically be like, "There's nothing that we can do. Like, it's over. Like, like there's there's no going back. There's no fixing it. Like all this stuff." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Of course, I mean, like, obviously we can choose to, like, make some kind of like amends arrangement. Like, it's not right to completely just like wipe out another culture
Right. Even
just
if that
because.
wasn't us, right? Like it was our forefathers or
Right. I mean, like, it
parents.
almost makes
Right.
it more our responsibility, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, they didn't fix
sins
it.
of the father. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, you want to fix things that are, like, broken in the past so that you can move on better. That's like a better thing for the future. But yeah, like, nobody was ever down with that idea because it was like taking away from what America had, and it was like giving it back or like changing it to like some unknown. Like, Native Americans are going to just like squander.
Yeah. What if they treated
um,
us like we treated them, right?
I mean, it's just,
That
the
was funny.
idea of us living on stolen land is just like something that I think still people, like, they're so opposed to the idea of it because it makes them feel like so uncomfortable, or like criminal, or like they have something wrong with them that they can't help. It makes them feel helpless or something. I don't know, but it just like, it's something that people are not down, like, they're not down with the idea of at all. Like, I
Dude, this
mean, and
circles back
again,
to what we were
like, you get
talking
a
about
lot of.
earlier. Yeah, like it just that dissonance of like, oh man, maybe we aren't the good people that we think we are because of the opinions that we have. Like
Well,
when you have
and
to accept
uh,
that somebody made a mistake and it's fallen on us now.
yeah, I mean, I think it's like not about being like, good, or I mean, like, I think the world is a lot grayer than that. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
think it really is just about, like, are you going to try to work for, like, like, making things like a little more right, like, putting the world back together like a little bit better, or are you going to work for like things that are like more
Yeah, I'm in
just like,
agreement with you. I was just stating it from the person's point of view. Like in their
yeah,
mind, if they were right before for the things that they were doing, they must be wrong now for changing their course of action. And again, I don't feel that that's the
yeah,
case. Like you can be, it could have been right before. You could also be more right by making a choice, or it's just, it could just be that, we're working towards a different type of goal than we were previously
Yeah,
because
but
we know more now than we did.
people do not want to give land back to Native Americans, so it's very sad. Like,
Yeah, that
I,
I
I,
could. I've never had that conversation, but I could definitely see that would be the case. I grew up in a very
yeah,
racist state. We have the largest the largest what are they called, um, reservation in the country, the Navajo Nation. Um,
yeah.
but like yeah, they need to stay there. It's even as I was coming up, like that was kind of like the mentality. Even in progressive groups of people that I was around.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even progressive, supposedly liberal people, like there's like a performative allyship kind of in terms of things because, you know, like you know, there's like an understanding of what is like it's quote unquote the right thing to do, but there's no will to do it because there's political blowback. There's potential like the consequences are always too dire for there to be like any true solidarity. So like it's is sad. Like, and I mean, you don't like have to even like look towards all of the like I can't remember what the name of that pipeline was where they wanted to get like the pipeline through on Native American land, or like the Cop City thing that they wanted to build on Native American land. Like you can even look at like five or I was going to say 5/11, 9/11 responders. Like they don't even want to stand behind like first responders to 9/11.
Right? You're like that.
Like, I mean, people that everyone agrees are heroes, like, they don't want to give them cancer treatment. They don't want to give them medical treatment. Like, it's just, it's astounding to me, like, how, like, when it's just like, okay, I could, like, quote unquote, do the right thing, or I could make, like, a little bit of money here, or I could secure, like, a little bit of, like, political clout, or I can, forge some kind of alliance that's going to benefit me and my family, but you know like I gotta you know take money away from 9/11 first responders.
Right.
It's just like people are yeah, like too greedy, I would say.
That's the thing, which is we're like it goes against our idea of like, but if we give money to someone else, right, they haven't earned it, they haven't worked for it, right? And so
Yeah,
therefore they're less, they're not living up to the ideal of what we're actually supposed to be doing is producing and going
right.
out and getting it, and it's just like, man, that's just such a
Yeah, I
backwards
mean,
idea.
yeah, and that's the thing, like, to me, where it's just like going through the mental gymnastics of trying to be like people haven't like earned something or don't deserve, like, it's just like, yeah, um
Right, like the fact
very
that we exist is enough to be like, we should have food, we should have shelter, we should be able to be a part of communities.
I mean, the people that were here before us like should be able to, like their culture should be able to continue to exist. you know
Right.
and you know
It's not
uh
our perfection that makes us great, but it is the flaws and us like working through those collectively, right? Like the differences that we have is actually what makes humanity great.
Well, I mean, and I think the ways that we do tell these stories to ourselves to make whatever ultimate choice that we make, to say that that was the right choice. Those It's important that we understand how we come to, make those stories. Because I think at the end of the day, no matter who we are, we have to admit we don't have the full picture. None of us
Yeah,
are fully in possession of all the facts,
right.
especially when it comes to like political, socio economic war type shit. We all have a little learning to do. I definitely do. And, at the end of the day, everything that a person learned about, the Trail of Tears and everything we did to the Native Americans, like that's all. That's a story that people have, definitely researched facts and like put time into trying to make as accurate as possible. But at the end of the day, it's a story. And you know, I think the more we interrogate those, and the more that we interrogate how we come to telling these stories to ourselves, no matter how accurate or inaccurate they are, we learn. That's where we learn what humanity is about, like why we want to believe certain things and why we want to, uh, you know, make certain narratives, why we want to believe certain narratives, why we want to avoid believing certain narratives,
Right, yeah, that's
and
and
why
that's
we want to.
you're actually saying it. It's that we want to, right? Like it has something like our ego is somehow tied into this knowledge somehow, right? It's we can't
Yeah,
we have us as humans have a hard time uh, looking at things from an abstract point of view, a way that doesn't it's not about me, right? Like there are facts that exist apart from my perception, and that's
yeah,
I mean that's always been true. That always will be true. It's a hard thing to like try to even break out of because our perception is so subtle. It's the only experience we have, right? So it's the only way we have to judge the world. So of course we start to measure things through that lens and think that those things are correct because of our cognitive bias.
yeah. And I mean, we're never going to be able to get rid of like bias. We're just like we have to mitigate. That's why, again, it's important to just interrogate and never feel like you have the full right idea, because it's like it can't stop you from acting. Like you have to act, but you always have to be ready to learn more. At least
Yeah.
that's the thing I say. And I mean, very a person that I get this sentiment from, a person that did a series of lecture, like they did a lecture series for the great courses. Very conservative person. Uh, he was on the Mark Levin show, saying some stuff I did not agree with at all. I was very surprised to find it, but in his lecture series, I mean, he was adamant about, you know, you have to look yourself in the mirror every day and be like, I could be wrong. I could be profoundly wrong. I
Right.
could be, horribly wrong, terribly wrong. And that to be a good academic, at least, to be a good person of like rigorous science, you always have to be interrogating the idea further and never accepting that you are all the way there. Um, and
Yeah,
then when
I
it
was
comes to things that
sorry.
are, I'm just talking. Sorry.
You're all good. No, that's great stuff. Because totally true fact. I was watching that. I was cutting in to say I was watching something to support your idea. There was a physicist who has a really high understanding of the physical nature of the universe, quantum physics, quantum mechanics as well, because she was like breaking down all these details to get to this one idea where there's this discovery at CERN within the last few months where they ran this test that they were actually just running this test to just verify results and then as they were verifying results, they made a discovery. They think they made a discovery where they found out that of all the molecules and subatomic particles that we've discovered, they actually found that there are more that we still haven't discovered yet. And there these they're affecting the world in little ways, but it's this profound thing. And she was super excited. Like the people who were interviewing her were like they were like, "Wait, you just told us that we don't have all the answers." And she's like, "Yeah, isn't that great? Because it means that we have more to explore." And I was like, "See, that's a
Yeah.
girl who's doing science right." Like, I'm sorry, a woman,
Right.
she's like full adult with absolute credit to like all of her accolades. Um, because she was like it's because that's the thing about science, right? Like the reason that it is so good and so useful is because we find that the universe is complex and that we keep exploring allows us to find how complex and then how increasingly complex it is.
And the idea that we have like subatomic particles
Oh,
that
it's
I mean, that is
9:30, by
very
the way.
exciting because, oh, is it?
Just so you know, I'm not trying
Exciting.
to keep you. I just this whole couple hours has passed real fast.
It really did. I need
Yeah,
to eat some dinner too, which
same.
is great. Anyway, yeah, we got to this last panel, and I got a lot of the pussies drawn on it. So
Yeah, those
I think
pussies.
on Tuesday I'll be able to finish up the inks at least, and I'll be able to get some colors down started.
Sweet.
This like vagina in space is going to be all color. That's why I haven't inked it yet, because I don't think
Oh,
hardly any of
cool.
it's going to be
Right.
black. So that's
It's space folding on itself. Right. It doesn't have lines
right.
necessarily. Yeah, that's super cool. Um, yeah, that's awesome.
Oh.
I am really excited. Page is definitely coming together. So how
Yeah,
exciting
yeah,
that.
for sure. I'm definitely I'm enjoying drawing it. So
This is the fun one. This
we
is where the action takes off. So
yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm enjoying it. Okay, I will see you guys on Tuesday.
all right, man.
Good hanging out,
Yeah.
and yeah, have a good rest of your evening. Take care, and all the love.
Bye.